And she's going to tell one tonight that has to do with an actual experience she had in a graveyard. So please welcome Betty Ann Polaha.
I'm all right now. I'm okay. I haven't had a nightmare in a couple of months. So I think it's over, but maybe it's not. You see, last fall, I was just talking to a friend, and I said, I'm going up to Northampton, Pennsylvania for a wedding, and she said, I have to get up there one of these days, too. And I wondered because, see, I knew that her grandparents in the early 1900s had come over here from Europe as immigrants to work in the cement plant that was up there in Northampton, same as my grandparents. But her mother, when she grew up and got married, she moved out of state. And then her mother had my friend and her sister, and then she died. Her father remarried, and my friend lost complete contact with anybody in her mother's family. And so I wondered why she wanted to go there. And she said, well, my sister and I, we're doing some genealogy, and we found my grandmother and my grandfather and most of my aunts and uncles. You did? Well, they're all dead, of course. But there's this app on your phone. If you type in the name of a cemetery, and then you type in the person you're looking for, if they're buried there, you get their picture. Well, not their picture, the picture of their tombstone and all the pertinent information. Oh, I'm going to try that. She said, now look at this picture we found, this tombstone. It was the prettiest tombstone I'd ever seen in my whole life. The base was like a 2-foot cube with an inscription on the front, and then there was a statue about 2.5 feet. It was an angel, not a Christmas angel, not one of those white angels with big wings and a halo and their hands are folded. This was a Valentine's angel, you know, a Cupid, but this one had clothes on. It had a cute little skirt. It was gathered at the waist in a cummerbund with some posies stuck in it. Around her neck, she had some lace, and she had puffy little sleeves with lace, too. Her hair was French braided. Her eyes were cast down, but she had little flowers in her hair. And she had wings, but they were cute little wings. And her hands, well, her hand was like reaching out like to shake your hand or say hello or something. And the only thing that marred the statue was her hand was missing, right at the wrist, like a clean break. That was a shame. I read the inscription down at the bottom on the base, and it said, Anna Shemanek, born April 11th, 1901, died June 24th, 1904. Oh, I said, she was a little girl. She was only 3. And my friend said, that's right. And we think she has to be my mother's sister. But nobody ever told us about her. And we're wondering now whether this tombstone, this little angel, is near my grandparents' graves, because that would mean for sure she was their daughter. I want to go up there and I want to take a picture of where it's at. I want to see. And that's when I did, you know, that thing that I do that I'm never going to do again after this, is I butted in her business. And I said, I'm going up there. I'll have time. I'll run over to the cemetery, take a picture for you. It won't take but a minute. She said, would you do that for me? I said, oh, sure, no problem. And that's why, the day after I got to Pennsylvania, I found myself driving to the cemetery. turned out it wasn't the same cemetery that I was familiar with. It was another one next to the deserted bowling alley. When I got there, I was a little overwhelmed, and I realized that I had come completely unprepared. The cemetery stretched on both sides of the road. On this side of the road, where the bowling alley was, there were graves. But on this side, there were lots of graves. It went for like 2 city blocks. And where was I? What was I thinking? That this little angel was going to say hi? So I got out my phone and I called the church that was affiliated with the cemetery. I kind of expected she would say, row 32, seat J, but she didn't. She said, we don't have any records. None. We didn't keep them. She said, well, I can help you this much, she said. The side with the bowling alley, that's the newest section. It's probably not over there. And the side that's real big, well, the side on the left is a Protestant cemetery, the Union Cemetery. And the side on the right, that's the Orthodox cemetery. What you want is the part in the middle. You'll see there's 3 big crosses in a center circle kind of thing. That's where you should look. Okay, she said, well, there's one other person that might be able to help you. Well, his name is Peter Schneckenberger, but Peter's not very friendly. He doesn't answer his phone, but you could leave him a message, maybe. I said, well, what's his number? And she gave it to me. I put it in my phone, but then I looked. Orthodox, Protestants, right there in the middle. And I looked at that section, and I saw 90% of the graves were rectangles, and 5% were these great big concrete crosses. There were only maybe 25 statue-type tombstones. Ha, piece of cake. So I started running around the cemetery looking for an angel with one hand. And as I was doing it, I was thinking, you know, my mother used to say, don't step on people's graves. It's impolite, it's rude. And I was in a hurry. And those people, they're dead a long, long time. Couldn't find it, and at the top of it all, I heard like a baby crying, like somewhere. And I looked, I could see the whole cemetery. There was no other people there, and I looked over the hill. There were a few houses, and I thought, well, it's coming from those houses. The wind is carrying it or something. But I couldn't find this statue for love or money. And I knew it was there. It was there in 2011. It said so on Find a Grave. I had to call this Peter Schneckenberger guy. I dialed his number.
We don't answer the phone. What do you want? Leave a message. Boom.
Well, I left a cryptic message. And I waited like 15, 20 minutes thinking he would hear the message and call me, but he didn't. And I thought, that's it. The old lady couldn't find the statue. It's there, but I don't know where it is. So I left and went home. I came back that night. I don't know how I got there or why I went, but the cemetery looked different. There were trees in the cemetery. They don't have trees in the middle of the cemetery. And the stones were like lopsided and broken, and they weren't in neat little rows anymore either. And the trees, they didn't have any leaves, but it was so dark. I got out my phone to try but it didn't work. And as I stepped, I could feel my feet crunching on the leaves. And when I stood still, I could hear things rustling in the leaves. And I didn't know why I was there, and then I heard it. Please find me. I want to go home. please find me. A child was in somewhere nearby. It was right, and it was in trouble, and I had to find it. Where? She was over there. It was the little girl from the Tombstone. And I said, honey, just stay there. I'm coming. And I tried to get to her, but I kept tripping over the broken tombstones and scratching on whatever was on the ground. And as soon as I got over there, I couldn't find her. But please find me, please. I want to go home. He was over there. And I saw her, and I said, wait, no, just wait. I'm coming. And again, I tried to maneuver around those tombstones, and my knee was scratched, and I knew I reached down, and it was wet, and it was probably, honey, wait, I'm coming. But when I got there, she was gone, but she was over here. Please find me, please find me. I want to go home. Oh. And then she was right there, right in front of me. I said, honey, shh, I'm right here. I'm going to help you. Don't worry. Just here, take my hand. And she reached out, and her hand came off in my hand. It was bloody. It was laying there on the ground, and I woke up. I couldn't sleep all night. I couldn't close my eyes again. And next morning, I'm sitting there over a cup of coffee, telling myself I ate too much lasagna and drank too much wine. I'm never going to do that again. Oh. And my phone rang. Hello?
Are you the lady that's looking for the little angel?
Well, I was.
What do you want to know for?
Well, a friend. I'm just doing some genealogy for a friend.
Come to the cemetery at 6 o'clock tonight. Bang.
I wasn't going. No way in hell was I going. But as the day went on, I heard, please find me. I want to go home. I saw that little girl again. I thought about it, and I came up with a plan. This time I was going to be scientific about it. I went to the cemetery at 5:30. You think a little pig or a little something did that in a story. And I got there, and I looked at the picture I had of the tombstone, and I saw that here was her head, here was her wing, and right between the head and the wing, I could see those 3 crosses up in the center of the cemetery. And I figured out that if I could take a picture and make those 3 crosses the same size and put them in the same place on the picture, well, then I had to be in the spot where the statue was. And so it's kind of hard going back and forth from the picture into the camera, and you have to press them. And I was... And as I was doing it, I heard her, please find me. Please find me. I want to go home. Please. And as I was getting those crosses right in the exact spot, she was screaming at me, please, I want to go home. Please, I had to be there. She had to be right here. But she wasn't there.
You didn't find her, did you?
There he was. This person, he kind of looked like a lion. His hair was all frizzy. It stood out to here, and he had a beard, and it was like strawberry and gray mixed, and he had black beady eyes. I said, are you Peter? He goes,
You didn't find her, did ya?
I said, no.
She's right behind you.
No. I looked. I didn't want to turn my back on him. No, she's not there. I
Just turn around and look down.
Well, there was a 2-foot cube block with an inscription on it, and it said, Anna Shemenek, April 11th, 1901. But there's no statue.
Somebody stole it a couple of years ago. I didn't even call the cops. You don't have to worry about it. She's not there anyway.
Please find me. I want to go home. Please find me. I want to go home.
You hear her, don't you?
Yes, I do. Do you?
I used to, but I don't hear her anymore. You know, I used to go by here and cut the grass, and I used to hear her crying. And then I went home, and I had these really bad nightmares, and my wife, she got sick of it. And she went to the newspaper, and she looked it up on some fish thing. I don't know what the hell. Anyway, she came home, and she told me that Anna Shemenek, when she was 3 years old, went missing from her backyard, and nobody ever found her.
But there's a grave.
There's nobody in it. Her parents must have just put that there for, have something. I don't know what people do.
But I hear her. She won't stop.
He said, lady, calm down. I tell you, what you got to do is get in your car and get as far away from here as you can. And the further you go, the less you'll hear her. And the nightmares will go away eventually.
Well, I took his advice. I got in my car. I drove like a bat out of hell. And it turned out that she couldn't cry loud enough for me to hear her here in Tennessee. And I said at the beginning that I haven't had a nightmare for a couple of months. But I have this problem, you see. I never told my friend what happened. I just told her I didn't have time. But now she says she's going up there next week. And I don't know what to do. Thank you.